Today, we're going to talk about something that has been getting on my nerves. We have, in this society especially, the mass majority of people that I am noticing on posts on social media or hearing in conversation has this ridiculous mindset that we're born to get old. And there's almost like this rite of passage to start complaining about getting older. And I do not understand it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is when I hear somebody in their 40s say, oh, my knees can't do that. Or I hear somebody in their 30s say, up, getting out of bed, my back. These complaints about wear and tear on their body, and it's because of them getting older, okay? And then we flash forward, this doesn't go away, okay? There are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, okay, that just talk about their old body, their old body, their old face, their old aging, this, that, and the other thing, okay? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. It's like getting old in the form of body is a rite of passage, it's just something that happens and life is over. We're just getting old and waiting to what? I don't get it, okay? And I don't even know where to start with this because it's so frustrating to me because it's people settle. People settle all of the time. People settle and they complain. And they settle and they complain. And from somebody whose perspective is, I was overweight my whole life, to see it from this side, I just see settling and excuses. Okay? So let's say you are in your 50s. Okay? And let's say you are not doing things because you think you're too old. Your body is too old. Your knees are too old. Your back is too old, right? You're too tired because you're too old. You can't do it at that time because you're too old. And you're in your 50s. I mean, I don't know what the average age span is right now of an adult American, but my guess is probably in the 80s, maybe even 90s. There are a lot of people that live well into their 90s, okay? And if at 50 years old, even at 60 years old, you are already limiting yourself and settling, what are you going to do in 30 years? Do you think about it like that? I don't know why we have this ridiculous concept that you get up, you go to work, you get old, and then you wait to sit somewhere and just wither away. Where's that coming from? Why is that appealing? Why on earth do people want to live this way? I don't understand. I do not understand this whole concept of just settling. This is what it is. There are two very distinct types of people. Now, there's a bunch of people in the middle. I get that, okay? But there are two very distinct people that I am coming in contact with more and more as my business grows. There are people who do things despite, is that the right word? I don't know. I'm not an English major, okay? In spite of, they do something because they don't want a certain thing. If you tell someone they can't or they shouldn't, They want to do it anyway to prove it wrong. Okay. So, and then there are people who don't do it because of. It's an excuse not to. Okay. So the bottom line is there's two people. There are people that do it because there's a reason to, and the people who do it as an excuse not to. Okay? Now, don't come at me. There's a lot of gray area, okay? I'm not talking about the gray area. I'm talking about this majority of people that I am seeing who use a circumstance as a reason to or an excuse not to. And it is driving me insane. I want to use a woman I know as an example. Because at her age of mid-70s or so, she uses everything that comes her way as a reason to. A reason to eat a different way to change something that's happening in her body. A reason to exercise in a different way to prevent whatever in her body. A reason to. Not as an excuse not to. How many times I hear, I can't do that because I have this diagnosis, blood pressure, my knees hurt. There's so many. And I don't understand it. Like, does the doctor tell you, I want you to just sit in a chair and watch TV and settle in there and live your life from the chair? The doctor's telling you that. They're just telling you don't exercise. The doctor's telling you don't walk. Now, yeah, if you got a crushed foot, okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you were newly diagnosed maybe with hypertension or diabetes or arthritis or I don't know, anything, and you say, oh, that's my excuse, now I cannot do anything. Because that's what they're doing. That's what people are doing. They use it as an excuse. Here, let me break this down in a different way. As a person who teaches fitness classes and promotes fitness. Now, side note, I do not promote fitness and teach fitness and do all this fitness stuff because I am some previous athlete who just loves fitness. That is not what I do. I do it for the mental health benefits, okay? And yes, that trickles down into lots of other things, okay? Hold on. Because fitness is beyond just being for your physical body, okay? But because fitness is currently the primary point of my business, I get excuses all of the time as to why people are not exercising, even when I don't ask, always when I don't ask, okay? And one of the most common things I hear is, I need to lose weight first. What? What? You can't exercise because you need to lose weight first? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard. That is your own, it's your own self-conscious, self-esteem, everyone's looking at me in your head stuff, okay? But you're using that as an excuse not to. I hear it with people who are going through bariatric surgery. People who have had, in layman's terms, weight loss surgery. That's a whole nother topic. I hate the term weight loss surgery. But people who have weight loss surgery, I have heard more than enough. Oh, what happened? Am I still here? I have heard more than enough people say, once I lose my weight, I'm going to start exercising. Why? That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard of, okay? It's like we purposely look for excuses not to do things. Why? Why? Now let's get back to the aging thing. because I am so tired of hearing young people say they can't do things because they're old or because they're getting old. That's stupid. That is absolutely stupid. If that were the case, nobody would exercise past the age of like 35, because half the time it's the people in their 30s and 40s who are complaining about getting old like it's a rite of passage. Those days are over. That ship has sailed. This whole looking forward to repeating the cycle, I'm not into it. I'm not into it. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in repeating the same cycle of be miserable, eat, sleep, get old, wait, and wither away. That's not living. That is not living. That is settling. We settle. If you're saying this is just the way it is, this is just how it is, that's because you don't have the desire to put in the work. You do not want to do it. If you are settling, you enjoy the woe is me. You enjoy the victim. You enjoy just being able to complain and say, oh, it's because I'm getting old. There are people who are way older than you who are showing up for themselves. Getting old is a choice. We are going to age regardless. Our body is going to age. That's natural. But getting old, when you're saying you can't do things because you're old, especially when you are very young, you are choosing that. And you're choosing that as an excuse not to do something. You're using that as an excuse to not work on yourself. You are using that to justify settling where you are. Why? Why do you want to settle for where you are? If you're already complaining, or it doesn't matter if you are complaining, if you're complaining about something, if something hurts all the time and you can't do this and you can't bend over and tie your shoes and you can't go up down the steps without being out of breath, you can't hold your arms over your head. Why are you bragging about that and accepting that like, I'm getting old? That's miserable. Why do you want to live like that? I lived feeling miserable at a young age, okay? And there is no way I'm ever going to choose that. I will always fight to not do that. I carried around 300 plus pounds for the majority of my adult life. You want to talk about knees? Bet you I can beat you. You want to talk about back pain? Bet you I can beat you. You want to talk about being out of breath? I know what it feels like. And why you're choosing to feel like that, I will never understand. And while you're choosing to feel like that and blaming it on a number of how old you are is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You are making the choice, and it is more comfortable for you to feel bad for yourself and to make up this BS excuse about being old, because so many people buy into it because we're so brainwashed by this. And I don't get it. I don't know where it comes from other than it's a cycle repeating. There's no ambition. There's no desire to be better. There's no desire for personal growth. There's no self-awareness. But other than that, I don't get it. In this day and age, you have so much information around you, so many resources available that you can change and you can be and feel however you want to. And why you choose settling instead of working towards it and using it as a reason to do something, that is all you, and that's all your mindset. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with just settling and being miserable and getting more and more miserable, because this is a thing, folks. This is a thing. You need to exercise, okay? You need to do a lot of things, all right? But I'm going to talk about exercise. You need to exercise. And being old, getting old, or having old knees or old this, that, and the other thing is probably one of my most common excuses that I hear for why someone can't exercise, okay? That's why you should exercise, because the more you don't do something, the more your body is going to get used to not doing something, so the more it's going to hurt. So if you're not exercising and you don't exercise because you're too old and your knees hurt because you're too old and your back hurts because you're too old and you can't do this because you're too old, how do you think it's going to feel in 30 years? Like, honestly, how do you think you are going to feel in 30 years when right now you think you feel like crap because you're getting old and you're not doing things because you're too old and because you feel like crap? How do you think you are going to feel in 30 years? I don't know. Because I'm not doing that. I'm not settling. I've never settled. Even at my highest weight, I've always was fighting in some capacity. I've always known that this was not my destiny. And I had to break lots of cycles and go through lots of stigma walls and really push forward to get through to just to where I am now. And I'm still not going to settle here. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. But and you know what, honestly, if I were to stay right here, mentally, emotionally, physically, for the next 30 years, I would be okay with that. But I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to be the best version of myself. So I will continue to always push forward and always grow emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, because I will not settle. I see too many people around me settle. Just settle. I hear it in every statement. I hear it all the time. And I could give you a list of things that are not even exercise related or fitness related, okay? But this is one of the simplest things you can change your mindset on and change your outlook on that will impact your life dramatically, is finding a way to incorporate activity into your life so that in 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, you are not physically worse off than you are right now. You have total control over that. But you have to see yourself as a priority. You have to see and understand and fully embrace that you're in control of a lot of things. And there's a huge difference between aging and getting old. Your body needs to move in order to stay moving. I often use the example of, the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. He didn't move for how long? Right? He was rested. He didn't move. He rested because his body wasn't moving. And then when he was able to move, it hurt until he oiled up and whatever. Your body is the same. If you don't use it, you're going to rest up. It's going to hurt. You're not going to be able to have full range of motion over your head. You're not going to be able to get up from a chair without holding on to 3 different things. You're not going to be able to go up and down steps easily with better balance and not having your knees crack and make all these noises. You're not going to be able to sleep comfortably in the bed without your back hurting. Your body's not moving and it's staying in the same position. Do you ever carry around a heavy baby Okay, when you're not when you're a mom and you're in baby stage, but like just a random baby. Okay, not a random baby because that's weird, but like, okay, it's a niece, it's a friend, it's whatever. You're carrying around this heavy baby, and you're like this for a good amount of time. Now I do this because I hold everybody's baby. Okay, when I'm done holding that baby over here, and I give the baby back, oh, my elbow hurts because my elbow sat like this for that long, and it's not used to that. Okay, that's why when you never put your arms over your head and you use things to knock things down because we're trying to make things easier because it feels uncomfortable. By easier, I mean lazier, because that's really what it is. Eventually, you're not going to be able to do it. If you stop doing it, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay? Your body is the same way. And you can get all rusty, okay? You can get all, lose a lot of range of motion, and you can get all rusty, and then you can decide to start. Okay? Because it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. Okay? You can start and you can get into a much better place than you are now, but you're never going to go back to where you were before you let everything rest. It's always going to be a little, depending on your age and what you're doing and how far you've gone. Okay? But you catch my drift? Like, if you want to be a person who is in their 70s, 80s, 90s and be independent and be able to live on your own, be able to walk to the bathroom when you want to be able to still go to the store, if you want to be able to do things for yourself and you want the independence, you've got to move your you-know-what now. You need to use getting old as a reason to do things, not as an excuse not to. It's not a rite of passage. It doesn't say, oh, yep, this is where I get to be now. I get to be immobile and sit here and just wait for whatever. That's not exciting. That's not fun. That's not living. That's settling. That is settling. No one's envying that. Okay? I'm going back to this one person who is using her diagnoses, her age, all of her things as a reason to. She is in her mid-70s. She has lost weight after being considerably overweight for a large portion of her life. She lost weight. She is active. She goes to class, takes different fitness classes in different places and does different things a few times a week. She does her best for her age. She shows up. She's motivated. She's inspiring. She's inspired. And she does what she can do to the best of her ability based on what her body lets her do. Recently, she found out she had a cardiac issue. A pretty significant cardio issue. And where most people that I encounter would use that as a reason to not do anything and a reason to sit, she's using it a reason to do more, to see more people, to find out more things, to learn more about her body, to continue to grow more, to see what she can do to fix and reverse some of this significant issue. And the vast majority of people would use that as a reason to stop going, to stop doing, and to sit and break the cycle, the good cycle that they had going, and use it as an excuse not to. But she's not. She's using it as a reason to. A reason to. At 70 plus years old. And we have people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who use the most small things, the most insignificant things as a reason not to, as an excuse not to. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand it. So the next time that you are saying to yourself, I can't because my knees are this, or oh, I'm getting old, rephrase that. Start looking at old like an object that you don't want to be a old, ratty, torn up object. You're not old. You're not a purse. You're not a shoe. You're a human. You have a spirit. You have a purpose. You have a life. Why not make the best of it? Why not thrive? Why not enjoy every moment that you can versus, oh, this is what we do. We sit and get old. We wait and get old. Getting old. Getting old. Oh, we're getting old. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'll never understand it. But I really challenge you to start shifting your mindset. What can you do to help yourself live your best life now and for in the future?